My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. My dearest Jesus, you remember me. My name is Simon, and it was on a Good Friday many, many years ago that you changed my life. All I wanted to do was attend the Passover celebration in Jerusalem. I had made a pilgrimage from my native land of Cyrene in northern Africa with my wife and my two boys, Alexander and Rufus. And we were very excited to be able to visit the temple in Jerusalem and pay homage to God during the high holy days of Passover, sacrificing a lamb along with other families, praying in the temple. My encounter with you, Jesus, was completely unexpected. I had heard some things about you, this rabbi from Nazareth, this talk of the Messiah, but I hadn't paid too much attention to it. To be honest, I kind of wrote you off when I found out that you were from some no-name town in Galilee. The whole thing seemed a bit far-fetched. But then, on that Friday, which now we call Good, my life was turned upside down. I was coming in from the fields with my boys. We were walking towards one of the gates of the city, and our plan was to go and visit the temple. Well, it's at that point that I enter the gospel story, or more accurately put, I was dragged into the story. You see, I just wanted to make my pilgrimage. I had traveled 1,500 miles from Cyrene to celebrate the Passover. That was always a goal for any Jewish person living outside the region of the Holy Land. To be able to be a pilgrim, to journey to the holy city, and there to join in the great celebrations. I had made that long journey to Jerusalem with my family. That was all I wanted to do. However, as I was entering that city gate with Alexander and Rufus, I literally ran into an execution march, a procession of death heading out of the city. 3 criminals walking with the wood of their crosses up the hill to Calvary, that outcropping of rock just outside the city walls. And before I could even begin to absorb what was happening, the Roman soldiers seized me and forced me against my will to carry the cross of the condemned criminal that was wearing a crown of thorns. You, Jesus. And I have to admit, it was a devastating experience for me. Not only was it a bitter blow to my sense of personal dignity, they treated me like a slave, a criminal, those Romans who hated us Jews. But it was even more devastating because I was now forced to handle the cross, an instrument of death. And that meant that I was declared ritually unclean by the Mosaic law. So I was prohibited from engaging in precisely the ceremonies of Passover that I had traveled for. 1,500 miles I had traveled just for this special pilgrimage. And in an instant, it was all snatched away from me. Or at least, that's what I thought. And so I began that task of carrying your cross, Jesus, with a bitter resignation. I was devastated. Why me? Why now? Why this? Jesus, I always had this way of reacting to suffering. I always seemed to react in this way to these challenges before I met you. I'd run into a problem and I'd react with anger, with resignation, I always felt myself the victim, and I would feed my despair by complaining, by feeling sorry for myself, by rallying against God. Why me? But something changed on Good Friday. In Luke's account of the Passion, he wrote, "As they led Jesus away, they took hold of a certain Simon, a Cyrenian, who was coming in from the country. And after laying the cross on him, they made him carry it behind Jesus." Well, that's me. And I'm moved by the fact that the gospel retains a small and seemingly insignificant detail, but that holds great importance for me. The fact that I carried the cross behind you. They made him carry it behind Jesus. I walked behind you, Lord. You led the way. You staggered in exhaustion, your bloody feet staining the path, but you walked ahead of me. And my view of you as I carried that heavy cross was of your back. In the history of art, there are so many depictions of you on the cross, of your crucifixion, but they're almost always seen from the front, and that makes sense, and I find them all very moving. But what truly changed my heart was seeing your back, Lord, and those lashes of your scourging. Your back was torn up, your flesh was destroyed by the cruelty of that punishment. And all the way out to Calvary, I was looking at your back, and my mind was flooded by the old prophecies concerning the suffering servant, the Messiah who would redeem us. That torn flesh of your back was repugnant to look at, and yet it was so moving. Your bloodied body was strangely attractive. Isaiah writes, "Even as many were amazed at him, so marred was his look beyond human semblance, and his appearance beyond that of the sons of man. So shall he startle many nations. Because of him, kings shall stand speechless." I was speechless before your silent suffering, Lord. That torn flesh of your back, made by the lashes of the sins of humanity. It called out to me to repent of my sinful past, and I felt so sorry for the ways that my sins were the cause of those lashes. It made me realize, too, that my little crosses, all of those things that I used to complain about, were nothing in comparison to what you were doing. My conversion started with this unexpected meeting with the cross. And I remembered what Isaiah said. I went to those who were not looking for me. I was found by those that sought me not. And it's true, at times the cross appears without our looking for it, and it's you, Jesus, who is seeking us out. And I want to repeat to everyone, to all Christians, a piece of advice given by a recent saint who meditated on my experience. If by chance, before this unexpected cross, which perhaps is therefore more difficult to understand, your heart were to show repugnance, don't give it consolations. And filled with a noble compassion, when your heart asks for those consolations, say to it slowly, as one speaking in confidence, heart, heart on the cross, heart on the cross. How often I have told my heart precisely this, stay on the cross. And I just keep going back to that image of your back, Lord, as I followed you along the Via Dolorosa, the sorrowful way, the way of the cross. I know that it was no accident that I arrived precisely in that moment of your way of the cross, when those soldiers grabbed me. I would tell my boys this often when looking back on the event. This was no coincidence. Jesus, you were calling me in this moment to walk with you, to carry your cross for you. When we got to Calvary, I would have run away after having fulfilled my duty to the soldiers. They let me loose once we reached the top of the hill. But I couldn't resist watching your wounds, Lord, and giving thanks for your sacrifice by staying by your side as they crucified you. And your mother helped me to do this, she who stood firm at the foot of the cross. Heart on the cross, heart on the cross. That's a prayer that keeps me there so close to you, Jesus. May Our Lady continue to help all Christians to embrace the cross, to kiss the wood of the cross as we will do today on Good Friday, with a deep reverence for this sacrifice that saves us. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help in putting them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.